All right, here we're asked to find the x and y intercepts of the graph of each equation. And the x and y intercepts, the x-intercept is going to have a y-coordinate of 0. Sorry. It's going to have a y-coordinate of 0. So we're going to have something comma 0 for the x-intercept. The x, notice that the value that we're looking for, the x-coordinate, that's what the intercept will be. So if the x-intercept, we don't know what x is, but we do know y. It's going to be 0. Okay? So, excuse me. Just get this out of there, clear it up a little bit. So the x-intercept has a y-coordinate of 0. That means that if we do 0 for y, and I could write -2 times 0, but I'm not going to, because what we really know then is that we're going to have here -2 times 0, and that's going to go away. That's just going to drop right out. So what do we get as a result? We get x equals 2. That will be the x-intercept. And for the y-intercept, we know that x is going to be 0, and that's going to make the x part drop out, meaning we will get -2y equals 2. And we have to solve for that. -2y divided by -2 equals 2 divided by -2. And we get y equals -1. The y-intercept is going to be -1. Yep, that's number 9. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just kind of shortcut this and say, I'm going to take this in 2 pieces. I'm going to say just the x term, the x and its coefficient, is going to be equal to whatever the constant is, and we will solve for that. X equals -20/3, which let's actually do the division. We will say that is negative, and I'm going to do the division here. 20 divided by 3, that goes in 6 times. We can take the remainder as the numerator and the number dividing by as the denominator and say -6 2/3. It's better to have intercepts as whole numbers or mixed numbers because we want to know which 2 units we're going, whole number units we're going in between. Versus if we were dealing with a slope, which if it was a slope, we would want to keep it as a fraction, just like an improper fraction. So what we have here then is the x-intercept at -6 2/3. And then we'll do the same thing again, taking just the y part. Make sure you keep the negative with it. -5y equals -20. And then we divide both by the coefficient. And we get y equals 4. So we have a y-intercept of 4. Easy. Let's do that one more time. Again, we will just take the x term. The x term means the x and its coefficient, and set it equal to what the constant is. The reason that we're able to do that is because we would plug in 0 for y, since the x-intercept is going to have a y-coordinate of 0. And that will then make that whole term just become 0, and we don't need to consider it. So it'll go away. 4.5. And of course we have to divide by the coefficient to get down to a single x. So we say -7.5 divided by -5. X equals negative divided by negative is positive, and 5 goes into 7.5. Let's do it. 7.5 divided by 5. 5 goes into 7 one time. 5 goes into 25 5 times. And the decimal comes straight up, so it is 1.5. 1.5. And remember, the 2 negatives canceled out to make a positive. We'll get that out of there. And we're going to do the same thing now with the y term. We just box this. But the y term then 3y equals negative 7.5. And we divide by 3 equals negative 7.5 divided by 3. And I happen to know that we could do the division, but I happen to know that 3 times 2.5 gives us 7.5. So 3 times negative 2.5 gives us negative 7.5. So when we divide negative 7.5 by 3, going the other way, we get negative 2.5. So we've got the x-intercept at 2, the y-intercept at negative 1. On this one, we have the x-intercept at negative 6 2/3, the y-intercept at 4. Here we have the x-intercept at 1.5 and the y-intercept at negative 2.5. Again, we can take one of the terms, like the x term here, and set that equal to the constant, since this term will become 0 when we place 0 in for y to get the x-intercept. Same thing here, to get the y-intercept, we put 0 in for x, and that term would go away. So we can just take the simplified expression with just that first term equals 2. Yep. If you're unclear on that, come check with me, but that's actually pretty great, straightforward.